Hey everyone, welcome to our field of channel Doop. There I'm talking about what every character from The Walking Dead did before the apocalypse began. I'm gonna do this in a few parts. I'm not gonna do this all in one video, of course, because then I will be going on for an hour or two. So I'm just gonna do the characters of each season. So we're starting now with season 1, next video will be season 2, and so on. So we're starting off with the characters from season 1. Starting off, of course, with Rick. As the main character, you probably thought he has a very big backstory, but it's not really that big, it's just this. Rick was inspired by his old grandpa, who fought in World War II, to do something good. And so he and Shane became best friends and became the town sheriffs. He later met Laurie and eventually later got a son named Carl. Then there's his best friend Shane, who was also a cop, best friend of Rick, and always a good friend to the Grimes family, and was kind of the prankster in high school, was in the football team, and is actually known as the town's womanizer. Next is Carl. Before the apocalypse began, Carl was in middle school, was good friends with Shane, had a friend with energy to dairy products. I know that's not really important, but it's something. And he was most of the time involved with his parents. He was very much involved in the fights his parents had. Next is the bitch wife Laurie Grimes. About Laurie is not much known, other than she was just a typical housewife and that she got in many fights with her husband. And she always asked for advice to her friends how she could fix up her relationship with Rick. Next is Daryl Dixon. Well, there's always a mystery what this guy did before the apocalypse, because that's kind of the fun thing about Daryl Dixon. You don't know what he did. He's just a silent, good-ass badass. And that's all we like about him, but there is something we know. He didn't really have a job, but he did grow up with abusive parents, and he eventually became a really good hunter and tracker. So that's something. Next is his very mean brother Merle. Merle had a very terrible childhood and wasn't really the best brother to his little brother Daryl. But he did go into the military when he was 18. And eventually, after he was done in the military, he went into the drug business. So maybe he was good friends with Jesse Pinkman. You never know. Bitch. Next is Glenn. Glenn was just a ordinary, normal scout boy, and when he turned 18, he became the pizza delivery boy. That's probably also why he's such a good guide around the group. He knows where to go. Next is Andrea. Andrea and her sister Amy didn't really have the good relationship normal sisters have. That's probably because Andrea was about 12 years older and she went to college really fast, and she eventually became a successful civil rights attorney. Then we have her sister Amy. Other than the bad relationship with sister Andrea, was Amy still in college before and when the outbreak began, and not much else is known about her. Next up is Carol. Carol has a very, very troubled life before the apocalypse. She had an abusive husband Ed and was just a normal housewife And yeah, her daughter Sophia didn't really have the best life either. She just went to middle school, not the same as Carl. They met when the apocalypse began, so they didn't know each other before that. But she went to middle school. That's what we know. And then there's the father Ed, who didn't even finish college and became an abusive husband and father with no job at all. So I'm actually wondering how they survived before the apocalypse even began. Next is Morgan. The only thing known about Morgan is that he was a big family man for his wife, Jenny, and their son, Dwayne. So we don't actually know what kind of job he did, but it had to be something really good. Next is T-Dog. T-Dog was actually a very nice person before the apocalypse began. He didn't really have a job, but he was very nice to old people because he brought them to church and them back to their refuge centers. Next is Dill. Dill had a wife and almost a child, but his wife lost him and she also eventually died of cancer. After that, Dill took his RV and went on a trip on his own. And that's eventually how he catched up with the rest of the group. Next is Jackie. I know you probably don't remember her, but she was this nice lady who was kind of a little bit annoying, but an okay character. Jackie worked for a city tuning department. So, call it a good job or not, but it is very interesting. Next up is Jim. Jim was an auto mechanic and specialist in car and vehicle repair. So he was a pretty handy man. So it's sad that he died so soon because they could have get used to him very much. Next is Morales. Well, about Morales isn't really much known other than that he was a good husband and that he... Yeah, we don't know anything about him because he was just killed off too soon. Next is Monroe, or G, whatever you want to call him. And he worked as a custodian at a nursing home. So that's a good job too. And lastly, there's Dr. Edwin Jenner, who worked as a scientist with his wife at the CDC. That was season 1. Next time I'll tell you about the new characters that are introduced in season 2 and what they did before the apocalypse began. Leave a comment, like, and subscribe to my channel. I'll catch you next time.